There's a news story last week that is so shocking that I can't believe the mainstream media is not covering it. You're going to want to watch this video all the way through. If you have children or grandchildren, you need to pay attention to this. The government is coming for your kids. Before we get into the main story from last week, I want to give you some background. I want to start with Joe Biden. I watch him pretty closely, and I've started to notice something strange. Are you aware that he has been sniffing kids?
There you go. And then we're going to have...
There you go.
Got it? Okay.
I want you to watch these clips. Isn't this unusual behavior? Why is he sniffing them?
You're both in the front row. Do you remember what I told you? No, not smile. No date till you're 30. Hey, Angel, how old are you? 12. You're 12. What's your name? How are you?
I'm fine.
The problem is, you know, you guys, you got a hard time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right, sister. I like kids better than people.
Yeah.
Okay. Grandpa's one of the good guys.
That's nice of you to say.
No, I'm not saying. He knows. Do you know what my dad used to...
I don't know about you, but this is not normal behavior. Now, you might say that these are just photo ops at the White House, and people do awkward things when they're posing for photos. But here's another clip. This is Joe Biden at an ice cream shop, and he sniffs a kid's head. Why would he do that? Is this something he does normally, just walking around in the world? He's eating ice cream, and he thinks to himself, I want to go over there and sniff that kid's head. I'm sorry, but this is strange. The whole thing just makes me feel creepy. But it gets more unusual. It was revealed on Hunter Biden's laptop that Hunter Biden had his dad programmed into his phone as Pedo Peter. Here are the screenshots. This is his list of text messages he would send to his dad, his mom, and his sister. Whenever Joe Biden was involved, it was under the name Pedo Peter. Why would you call your dad Pedo Peter? Why would you program that into your phone? I hope that when Congress calls Hunter Biden to testify under oath, that they ask him why he calls his father Pedo Peter. What possible explanation could he have? What is also strange about Hunter Biden is that we have this photo from his laptop. We can see he has a tattoo on his back of the Finger Lakes in New York. What is also interesting is that Hunter Biden has named a number of shell companies after the Finger Lakes. Owasco, Skaneateles, and Seneca are all names of lakes in the Finger Lakes, as well as being names of Hunter Biden's shell companies. He's clearly obsessed with these lakes. Now, the Biden family vacationed at these lakes a number of times. Here's a photo of a house Joe Biden stayed in. But this still seems strange to me. I took vacations as a kid. I went to the Grand Canyon. I had fun. But I don't have the Grand Canyon tattooed on my back. Why is Hunter Biden so obsessed with the Finger Lakes? You know who also vacationed at the Finger Lakes? Bill and Hillary Clinton. Why are all these rich and powerful people hanging out at the Finger Lakes? Recently, I was watching an old episode of an old show called The Office. There's an episode that a lot of people have forgotten about, starring Jim Carrey. In the episode, he makes a joke about the Finger Lakes.
I'm supposed to be in the Finger Lakes right now. I gotta get back pretty soon, don't worry. People disappear in the Finger Lakes.
So it's a joke that people disappear in the Finger Lakes. The same place that Hunter Biden is obsessed with. Why are people disappearing in the Finger Lakes? It is well documented that there is an extensive secret tunnel network in the Finger Lakes. These tunnels were used during the Civil War as part of the Underground Railroad. The tunnels were also used during Prohibition to smuggle alcohol. A lot of these tunnels go under rich people's houses who live on the Finger Lakes. Their houses are connected to the tunnel network. Here's a photo of one of the abandoned tunnels. What's strange about this photo is that this abandoned tunnel still apparently has working lighting. Isn't that odd? It also turns out that there's a problem with child trafficking in the Finger Lakes. Here's an article from last year about a girl who was held captive for 7 years and sexually exploited in the Finger Lakes. She was threatened with a rifle and recorded on video. 18 people were charged in this case, and some of them have already pled guilty. For 18 people to be involved, that means there's a community of people out there doing this to young girls in the Finger Lakes. Is that what Jim Carrey was making fun of in that joke? That brings me back to the question, why is Hunter Biden so obsessed with the Finger Lakes? Then there is this photo. Who takes a picture like this? It's just strange. Now, just speaking for myself personally, I like my dad. We get along. But I would never take a portrait like this. It's just strange. They're hugging and they're kissing. What are they doing? Who takes a picture like this with their dad? It gets more bizarre because Joe Biden's daughter, Ashley Biden, kept a diary. We have the diary because she was in drug rehab and left it there. On January 2019, she wrote, "Hypersexualized at a young age. What is this due to? Was I molested? I think so. I can't remember specifics, but I do remember trauma. I remember having sex with friends at a young age. Showers with my dad, probably not appropriate." Why is Ashley Biden taking inappropriate showers with her father? Why is it that both children of Joe Biden have drug problems and are leaving their diary and their laptop in random places filled with sexual information? And why does Hunter Biden call his father Pedo Peter? What is going on? Now you might say, there are clearly some strange things going on with Joe Biden, but what does that have to do with my kids? Hold on, because I'm getting there. We now know there was a group of extremely rich and powerful people sexually abusing children on Jeffrey Epstein's island. Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted for running a child trafficking operation, and yet not one person who abused these children has ever been charged. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has been charged with 91 crimes. What is going on? Why are these child abusers being protected while Donald Trump is being attacked? How does the Department of Justice choose their cases? Because I think their priorities are a little screwed up. It gets more strange. The U.S. Virgin Islands was suing JP Morgan Chase for facilitating human trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein. The Attorney General of the Virgin Islands, Denise George, was fired within 1 week of filing the case. Let me clarify the timeline for you. Denise George filed the lawsuit on Tuesday, December 27th, 2022. The same day, that night, Joe Biden traveled to the Virgin Islands. On January 3rd, 2023, 7 days later, Denise George was fired. Now, we don't know for sure if Joe Biden went to the Virgin Islands to fire Denise George, but Joe Biden has admitted that he did something very similar in Ukraine. He went to Ukraine and forced them to fire the Prosecutor General, Viktor Shokin. Did he do the same thing in the Virgin Islands? The timing is certainly suspicious. Now, you might be saying, what these rich people did with Jeffrey Epstein is horrible. But what does that have to do with my kids? Hold on, because I'm getting there. Since Joe Biden took office, we've started to hear things about drag queens in the schools. Think about it. I've never heard anything about drag queens in schools until Joe Biden took office. Why is that? Now, there's a lot of gaslighting around this issue, with people saying that it's not really happening or it's not a big deal. Here is video of what is going on in the schools.
The hips on the drag queen go swish, 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 swish. Swish, 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 the hips on the dragon go swish, 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 all through the town. Okay, and now the shoes on the drag queen go stomp, 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 okay? Yes.
Here's my question. Why is this person showing their crotch to these children? This is not okay. There are many more videos just like this. Here's what I don't understand. Why are the drag queens trying so hard to hang out with children? Why aren't they trying to read to, I don't know, old people in nursing homes? I'm sure the nursing homes would appreciate a visit from the drag queens. Why do the drag queens only want to hang out with children? Now you might be saying, my school doesn't do this. What does this have to do with my kids? Hold on, because now we are getting to the main story. This happened last week. A couple in Indiana named Mary and Jeremy Cox filed an appeal with the U.S. Supreme Court. They are fighting because the government took away their child because they would not call him by his preferred pronouns. I wanted to talk about this story because people don't realize this is going on. This is not happening in some blue state. This is Indiana, a solid red state that voted for Donald Trump in 2020. If this could happen in Indiana, it could happen to any of you watching this video. The government is taking away people's children over pronouns.
Our son was removed. It was like someone pulled the rug out from underneath us. As a father, I believe one of my main goals is to keep my children safe. And I can't do that when the state comes into our house and takes our kid because we can't, in good conscience, affirm his transgender ideology.
The more you find out about this case, the more disturbing it becomes. Child Services found out this family was Catholic and was not using their child's preferred pronouns. Child Services took the child and opened an investigation into the parents for abuse. Now, just so you understand, it's common for a Child Services investigation to turn into a police investigation for criminal abuse. So these parents not only lost their kid, they were then being threatened with possible jail time over pronouns. These parents went to court. The court eventually determined that there was no abuse going on, so any investigation into wrongdoing by the parents was dropped. But even though the court decided there was no abuse, they still took away the kid. These parents did nothing wrong, and the government took their kid. The parents had no more custody over their own child, and they could only see them if the child asked to visit, and only for 2 to 3 hours each week. They took the case to the Court of Appeals, and the court upheld the decision. They took the case to the Indiana Supreme Court, and the Indiana Supreme Court would not even hear the case. This is an outrage. They wouldn't even hear the case? So now this couple is taking their case to the U.S. Supreme Court.
So as a mom, having limited access to your children it's heart-wrenching. I miss his laugh. I miss being with him, talking with him about everyday things, teaching him how to bake, how to cook different things. There's so many things that we are to our children, not just their first teachers, but basically their first loves. And to miss out on that during such formative time in his life, we'll never get that time back.
These are not abusive parents. This is a loving family. Why is the government taking this kid? One of the claims of abuse was that using the wrong pronouns was causing this child to have an eating disorder. But after the government took the child, the eating disorder got worse. It didn't get better. This is insane. Why would a child be better off by taking them away from a stable, loving family? Now, I'm not against the concept of Child Protective Services. If parents get taken away to jail, Child Protective Services needs to be there to take care of the kids. Sometimes there are horrible parents who are physically abusive or sexually abusive. That is what Child Protective Services should be doing, not being the pronoun police. Why is Child Protective Services enforcing pronouns? They are compelling speech in people's private homes. How is this constitutional? These parents' crime was that they were Catholic. In America, we're supposed to have religious freedom. They should be free to raise their children in their religion without government intervention. In my opinion, if they want to tell their kid that they need to remain abstinent until they're married, that should be fine. Kids can't have sex anyway until they're 18. So why does it matter what gender they are? What does it matter if they're gay? Under the law, they cannot have sex. So why does it matter what gender they are? Why can't they just be a kid, not worry about it, and then when they turn 18, they can go off and live their life however they want? But until they're 18, the government should keep their nose out of parents' business. You need to be aware that this is not an isolated incident. The government is taking away people's children across the country. A couple in Montana, another solid red state, had their 14-year-old child taken because they would not use the child's preferred pronouns. The government actually took the child from Montana to Wyoming, where the parents could not get to them. The government started treatment to medically transition the 14-year-old. To be clear, this child was suffering from what people call sudden onset gender dysphoria. This is when a child suddenly starts exploring alternative genders when they never experienced those feelings before. This is not a kid who was struggling with their gender identity their whole lives. Now, I don't know all the details in this situation, but doesn't it seem to be more appropriate to have the child go through therapy sessions rather than what happened here? Let's be clear about what is going on. Instead of therapy, the government took a 14-year-old girl to another state away from her parents and started asking if she wanted to get a double mastectomy. These examples show a big problem. We now live in a society where if a teenager gets upset with their parents, which is every teenager, by the way, they can just call Child Protective Services and tell them they identify as a different gender. The government will come pick up the teenager and take them to be raised by the state. If the parents fight it, even if the court finds no sign of abuse, they will not get their child back. That is America right now. People need to wake up because that is really scary. If there's any kids out there who are thinking of trying this, let me just give you a word of caution. There was a recent study done of girls in foster care. They found out 81% of the girls had been sexually abused. Consider that before you decide to give up your loving family. So let's put this all together. We have a president whose own son calls him Pedo Peter. We have rich and powerful people abusing kids on Jeffrey Epstein's island. We have drag queens in the schools trying desperately to perform for young children. And now we have the government taking away people's kids because they don't use the right pronouns. Why is it that all these attacks on children are coming from the Democrats? I think there's an even more sinister agenda that's going on here. If you look at the start of every major tyrannical movement, they started by coming after the kids. In Chairman Mao's revolution in China, he encouraged children to report their parents to the government for thinking the wrong way. This is Zhang Hongbin. When he was 16, he denounced his mother for criticizing Mao. His mother was beaten, dragged to the edge of town, and shot. In Nazi Germany, they had the Hitler Youth. If a child turned in their parent for speaking negatively against the government, the parent would be sent to a concentration camp. I don't even think America's problem is about transgender issues. I think it's really about corrupt people in government trying to gain more power. They're trying to pull it off by coming after your kids. We need to stop this from happening, and we need to protect the kids. Now I want to hear from you. This time I really need your help because I don't have kids, so I'm really interested in what you have to say. For all of you who have raised kids before, do you think it's better to raise a child in a loving family, or is it better to have them taken away and raised by the government? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. If you like these videos, consider signing up for a monthly membership on my website, wolvesandfinance.com. For $6 a month, you help me to keep putting out these videos. I'm Zach from Wolves and Finance. Thank you for watching.